Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups and relationship issues. And today we're going to review How to Stick with No Contact by Coach Lee. Let's get right into it.
Did the dumping? Your job in most situations is simple. You reach out, you apologize, and you ask them if they will take you back. The best way to do that is to ask them if they'll meet you face to face for coffee or lunch or something like that and mention it then. So I'm talking to the person who's been broken up with. I'm going to share with you a few pitfalls that could cause you to break no contact. It could make you just feel like you have to. And I don't want that to happen to you because you definitely lower your chances of getting your ex back if you do that. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you the pitfalls. I'm going to give you some encouragement to stick with no contact if you want to get your ex back, but also because it's best for you to do no matter what happens. The first and most common reason that I hear where people break no contact is they doubt that it will work. And I want to tell you that it works a lot. It doesn't work 100% of the time. Nothing ever does. And sometimes people in the comments will say, it didn't work. He's not coming back. They never come back. Maybe one situation, maybe that situation. There are millions of potential situations and couples and relationships out there that are trying to get back together, or at least one person is. And the situations are complex. There's other details, but just because you hear it didn't work in this situation or that one, it doesn't mean it won't work in yours. And it does not mean that it's still not the best thing for you to do. I firmly believe, after looking at years and years of data and doing this for so long at this point, that no contact gives you the best chance. It's not 100%, but it gives you a much better chance than you reaching out and pressuring them and begging them and staying in their life when they don't want you there. Those things, they are illusions. They really only hurt you, but it feels like you're doing something. It feels like you are making progress or rattling the cage to try to get the animal to move around. It's actually just going to hurt you and make you look less attractive.
Bottom line, there's a lot of stuff on this. It's all over YouTube. It's all over every breakup coach's, relationship coach's YouTube channel. I didn't even know this term no contact existed till 7-8 years ago. I did it in breakups years back because here's the thing. When you get to a point where someone doesn't want to be with you, negotiations are off, because relationships are, a lot of it's negotiating things, right? So you break up, you have problems, you can't come to a common ground, you can't fix those problems, they don't want to be with you anymore, there's nothing else to talk about. No contact is a couple different things. It's acceptance, which is attractive. I can accept the fact that you don't want to be with me. Now you're like, how is that attractive? Because the fact that you have enough confidence to move on without them and you're not seeking pity from them. Now, the next part of that, he's absolutely correct, and it's not going to work 100% of the time. The thing that I preach, no contact is not for you to get them back. It's to get you back on deck. If they come back, it's a bonus. I'm gonna tell you that again and again, because the alternative is chase, rejected, and you keep getting rejected. Your self-esteem goes down, right? Then you can't date other people and you just bury yourself deeper and deeper. No contact, you lick your wounds, you start exercising, you start going out with friends. You don't, because every time, this is a big way to judge when to go into no contact. Your interactions with that individual leave you feeling ill, leave you feeling bad about yourself. They leave you feeling not good, right? The things that we remember about in human beings is how they make us feel. So if you interact with someone and you're not feeling good after interacting with them, if you're feeling really bad afterwards, there's no other alternative but no contact. No contact is for you to get back on deck, to rebuild yourself, because you're at a point right now, someone that you loved and cared about rejected you, right? Now, on the flip side, like he said earlier in the video, if you dump them, that's a different case, right? All right, let's get back into it.
Attractive to your ex. One way to think about it is like this. When your ex broke up with you, they had you. They had your presence. They had your words. They knew you cared. And now, if you give them more of that, what does it change? It doesn't change anything.
Are you mad? Because I am. I'm mad about inflation. I'm mad about how the government has spent our money.
So we actually are doing no contact because we are giving them the breakup and letting them see if it's what they really want. If you don't give them that, then they just see it as something you are preventing them from having. And you don't want to be in that position, because then it just glamorizes the idea of them being away from you and being able to be with someone else or be single for a little while and play around and look around. You don't want to make the opposite of being with you look more attractive. And that's what you do when you basically stand in their way of the breakup. Because once someone wants to break up with you, you can't just talk them back into it. If that works, it's very temporary. It's usually a day or two. And then the person.
There are some people that can be talked back into a relationship. They're usually impressionable types, soft-minded. Men tend to have a better chance at maybe talking a woman back and there's a lot of women that I deal with in breakups where they're on the other end and they just have pity, right? There's some people that have more pity for someone crying and they will take you back. Here's the caveat to that. The relationship won't last. The problem will bubble back up and you'll break up 3 months later, 6 months later. So the no contact gives both of you some time to realize, is this relationship even worth working out, or is the same problem going to bubble up? Are we going to bring up the same shit over again? So that's a big part of it too, right?
Usually resents you much more, and that's when you get blocked. And you get blocked because they just don't want to deal with you anymore. And so they will just make it to where you can't contact them. And even then, your best bet is still just not to fight it, not to try to find another way to talk to them, to just let no contact stay as it is. Let yourself stay blocked. And a lot of times you'll see they'll unblock you because there are ways to get to them and they know that. And so if you're not doing that, then basically in time the smoke clears and they can start to peel back that layer a little bit with the places where they blocked you. So keep that in mind. Using no contact also shows strength. It shows them that you can stay away, which makes it believable that you could move on. And it's the only thing that will make it believable because at the moment, as is true.
No contact is acceptance, okay? And if at the end of the breakup, a lot of times if you begged, pleaded, or called or texted, people will be like, oh, I fucked up. I messed up. I called her 15 times for 2 days. Okay, now stop. Okay, stop now. You didn't none of these breakups ever go exactly as scripted. They're all different, and that's why I always say, call Coach Lee, call myself, get tailored advice, okay? Because you need to break down your situation and stop just getting generalized advice. You need to find out what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong and feel good about it moving forward. And the best way to do that is to talk to a coach. Getting back to this, right? Getting back to this, he's right. You're accepting the breakup, and that's actually attractive, but you're also getting out of their way. You're getting out of their way. Check how it is. I don't care. Go ahead. You don't want any part of that. You don't want to know what they're up to. They've built a case on why they're going to break up with you, and you're not going to unbuild that case in a day. Okay? There are exceptions to the rule. Like I said, there are some people that are impressionable, can be talked out of it, but you're not really fixing the problem. Because if someone has, I want to be single on my mind, I don't want to be with you, they got to test it out. And that's the thing. When you go no contact, you're saying, go ahead and test it out, but I'm not going to be on the sidelines. I'm not going to be a life raft. I'm not going to be there if you go on a bad date or you have a bad day. And that's where your value comes in. Because if you were together 2, 3, 4, 5 years and they break up with you and they're like, oh, let's just stay friends or we can still talk. Hell no. Because they got to see what it's like without you 100% of the time, because there's so many more parts of the relationship they're not appreciating. And this is where you have to come back to yourself. If I was a pretty good partner, not perfect, go ahead and sit in the no contact and see what it's like without me. Okay?
True with almost all dumpers, 99%. They think they could get you back whenever they wanted to. They see you as beneath them to some degree on the scale of attraction, and they assume that you will be waiting for them. And if they ever do decide to come back, you're like an insurance policy in case they made a mistake, and you don't want to be that.
Always be a little bit suspicious. 99% true. I don't think that's 99% true. I think that it depends on the situation, depends on the breakup. It depends on your interpretations of what went down, okay? There's certain situations out there where you don't need to be in no contact. And if you think that you're like that, like I said, book a live coaching session and break down why you think otherwise. But the bottom line is 99% of the time, no. They don't think they're above you. There's a lot of circumstances that are different in different cases, and they have different reasons. To get to the bottom line of the no contact, you're having interactions where you feel bad afterwards, you're getting nowhere, you don't agree on things, you can't fix the problems you have, and they don't feel like you're someone they want to continue with, right? There's no other option. What's the alternative? Beg, plead, text over and over again? But the idea that 99% of the time they think they're better than you, not always the case.
And the more that you contact them, check on them, pester, pressure, beg, plead, stay in their life, the more you show them that that's actually true. They could just get you back, that it could just take a snap of their fingers and they could get you back. And so there's no pressure on them to come back to you. They don't feel like there's any sense of urgency. Why decide now? Why not just date around? He, she is waiting on me, so I can just do whatever I want to do. And this.
Yes, in extreme cases where someone's calling, texting over and over again, they have you in the bag. There's a limit to this, right? There's a level where the person can just be doing it way too much, and you completely lose the person then, right? Now the person's kind of scared of you. They're thinking of getting a restraining order, right? Because you've been pestering him so much. There's the other one that's like contacting him, like once every couple days, kind of being a puppy dog, being in the background. And he's right. They'll keep you on the sidelines. You're the backup quarterback. Something goes down or I'm feeling really blue, I have you on deck. Now, here's the interesting thing. Let's just say that you're in one of those situations where you're like, oh, for 3 weeks, we were still talking, we were seeing each other, but then now I just decided to go in no contact, but I think I should have started it earlier. No, that's okay. It's okay because whenever you start it, just commit to it. And then when you start it, they're going to go, oh shit, now the breakup's real for me. The breakup's real for me because now you're not contacting me. I didn't foresee this. I thought it was going to be a soft landing. I thought the way the breakup went down, I'd always have you in the background. And so that is very true. So the minute you commit to no contact, even if it's 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, which isn't ideal in a lot of cases, you're setting the clock to now I'm breaking up with you. And they don't know this, but subliminally they think, I broke up with you, but I still have the option. Now you eliminate the option, they start thinking, tables turned, oh shit, maybe I want him back.
This person will be there if I ever choose I want them back. That certainly doesn't make you look attractive. It's not what you want them thinking. It is what they're thinking when they break up with you and shortly after, especially during that relief stage that I talk about. And if you'd like to learn more about the stages your ex goes through during no contact, I have a video on that, coincidentally called Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact. I'll link to that in the description below and you can take a look at it. But just know that no contact, whereas it's not a guarantee, it is your best bet because giving them more of the same is not going to work when they have already shown you that they don't appreciate or want what you've been giving them. But when you stay away and they actually can feel that they could lose you, then they have to take an honest assessment of how they really feel about this, which is something they haven't had to do if you've been begging and pleading and pestering them.
Outstanding point here. Okay, this is probably one of the best points I've heard in this video so far. They got to take an honest point of view here. Now, I don't know if you want me back. I broke up with you. I had my reasons. You've been drinking too much on the weekends. I don't like you texting other guys, whatever. You have your reasons. But in the back of your head, when you broke up, they wanted to stay with you. So you think to yourself, well, if this breakup thing doesn't work out, this single thing doesn't work out, I always can get back with you. But if you go into no contact and they're like, wait a minute, you fell off a cliff, all of a sudden the tables turn, that's a nice position to be in. And he's absolutely correct. Now you've put it on them. Because a lot of people go into a breakup and they go, yeah, maybe we get back together. Maybe we get back together. If you're on the other end of that, yeah, no, don't do me any favors, hun. I'm going to make the decision for you. We're done. And I'm not going to talk to you about it. Now you've created mystery and they're thinking, wait a minute, I don't have the option again. I'm actually at a loss now for them. Scarcity is attractive.
Because they knew they could take you back. All the power was with them to decide if the relationship continued or not. It wasn't about you and them deciding together. They were the one who would decide. And they would just say yes or no because you don't have any control. But when you show that you could be lost, that you could move on, you take back a lot of that control. And they actually have to look at the situation differently and consider everything because now it could be taken away from them. So keep that in mind if you were doubting that no contact works. Before I get to number 2, take a quick second and subscribe to this channel so you can be notified when I have more videos like this. And be sure to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the second I post a new video. The second reason I see where people can't stick to the no contact rule is that they miss their ex and just want to reach out to feel their presence, to feel that contact and communication with them. And they're missing intimacy because you're used to hearing the day-to-day of your ex. You're used to hearing about how it was at work, how it was at school.
Absolutely true. Great point, Coach Lee. you're missing intimacy, especially for men. It's Friday night. It's been a week. If you haven't been on the internet too much, if you know what I mean, you're a dormant volcano, right? So you're thinking to yourself, oh, I really miss her. You also really miss the intimacy. And you don't have any other options because you haven't been on the dating scene in a long time. You don't want to deal with dating apps. You don't even want to jump into that. You don't want to play that game. And it hurts. You're lonely. You're used to having someone to talk to about your day. This is when it gets real quick. And this is when it gets tough real quick. So you think to yourself, I'm fine. I went to work. I hung out with a buddy. I had lunch. And then it starts to sink in. Wait, maybe she won't call me. Maybe he won't call me. It goes both ways. And the interesting thing is the longer you can stay in no contact and be strong about it, they start thinking the same things as you. So you think to yourself, wow, they really don't care. Now, on the flip side, if they met someone else or they're seeing someone else and it's rose petals and wine glasses, honeymoon phase, and you're like, I can't believe they don't care about me, you need to be in no contact anyways because that's going to help you move forward and move on, because you definitely don't want to be knocking on the door and there's some guy in the background and you're like, oh, who's that? What about him? No contact works on a lot of different levels, okay?
What's going on with pets, friends, family, and now you're not getting that. And so you're missing them and you're missing the intimacy you shared with them because you're in the dark now. And so when you compile this onto the fear that you're losing them forever or that you already have, and now you're missing them, it can make you just give in and contact them. But what you're actually doing is setting yourself back even further, and you're giving away your potential future for present and temporary satisfaction. And you are probably not even going to get that. So many people will tell me, I regret so much that I reached out, because either the ex said, leave me alone, or they didn't respond at all. Or it ended up being where when you heard their voice, when the person who's been dumped heard this other person's voice, that they started getting emotional and started begging, come back.
Great point. Great point. So a lot of times I'll have clients, they'll be like, look, I'm thinking about contacting them. I really want to contact them. Instead of me saying you can't contact them, I understand how the subconscious works and how adult human beings work. If you tell someone you can't do that, you generally want to do it more, right? So I'll say, look, go ahead and do it. And they'll say, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I'll say, well, if you do it, what's the best case scenario and what's the worst case scenario? So the best case scenario, oh, they come back to me. Oh, they want to be with me. Well, what's the worst case scenario? Oh, they're cold with me. They reject me. Can you handle that? See, if you can't handle that the way you could handle that when you first got together, like when you first started dating, if they rejected you, it might hurt you a little bit, but it didn't hurt you that much. If you're in a breakup and you reach out to them and they're cold with you, or they shine you off, or they treat you like a friend, you're going to go from 100 back down to 0. So if getting to 100 on the recovery in a breakup is your goal, and you're at 50 or 60 and you're fleeting between 40 and 60, but you're getting better in no contact, right? You contact them, they give you some kind of cold response, you go right down to 0, ground zero, all over again. And so that's the consequence. So you're willing to go there is the question. And Coach Lee didn't say it in those words, but that's what he meant. And I absolutely double stamped that.
Please, we can do this. And then it resulted in basically a fight where they felt they had to defend themselves against the other person's desire to get back together. And you don't want them to feel like they have to defend themselves against you, because then it seems like you two are on opposing sides, and that's not a good thing. And listen, I understand that you miss your ex. That's perfectly normal and natural, and it takes a lot of strength and courage to be committed to staying in no contact. But you have to decide and bet on yourself that if you give them the breakup, you will come out victorious one way or the other. They will either see that your presence mattered, they will actually see that they don't want to be without you and they miss the relationship, or they won't. But you're not going to fix what they broke. It's not your place. And if you have to do that, if you have to chase them down, that's the life you're going to have in the future. Because if that works to get them back, which it rarely does, usually it makes it much worse. I'm talking 10% or less of cases will you pursuing them get them back. And that's usually just to get you to be quiet. It's usually just to get you to shut up about it so they can think and plan another escape. And then you feel like, well, I got to go chase them again. And it becomes this horribly stressful, traumatic, emotional experience for you. And it makes things even worse. And it also shows them that no matter what they do, you will come after them. You will chase them. They won't be able to get too far away from you. And oftentimes they'll feel trapped.
what it does is it kills your value, right? Anything that is scarce is more valuable. Anything that is extremely abundant is less valuable, right? And so you coming back again and again, it's just like that. But he's absolutely right. In some cases, they might just take you back because they're annoyed. But like I said, it could be pity, but then you just break up again over the same thing. That being said, this 10% thing, I don't know about the 10% thing. If you have a question about this, where you're like, I think my situation's a little different, because everyone does. They go into no contact. Well, my situation, then contact a coach or a therapist and break it down with someone. Not with your friend, with Coach Lee or myself out there, and book a session and break down the nitty-gritty details of your situation and see if this applies to no contact. Because sometimes it's very simple for me to go, most of the time no contact works. But sometimes you're like, let me tell you my situation. Let me tell you my details. And then if you say it's still no contact's right for me, you feel reassured. You feel more confident about doing it, and you'll stick with it.
But it also makes them feel like there's no risk in breaking up with you. That, hey, I can just get mad at them, break up, and they'll come after me. You don't want any part of that. Trust me, listen to me, hear me on this, and just be willing to take the stand that you will not force your way into the life of a person who does not want you there. You will let them have a life without you if that's what they think they want, and you will give them a chance to come to their senses. I understand it takes a lot to get to that point. In some ways, you have to be a bull in a china shop. You have to be willing to lay it out there and risk that you at least will not be doing anything to get them back in terms of what it looks like. Your pursuit of this person is over until they come back to you.
As the great Charles Bukowski said, stop trying. Stop trying. You don't try to get someone to be attracted to you. You don't try to get someone to love you again. It happens organically if it's happening in the best way possible. It happens when they come to their own senses, right? Don't be the traveling salesman. I don't know about the bull in a china shop. That's not something I identify with as much. But you know what? If that's the package you want to put it in, fine. You got to find a reason that no contact's going to work for you. I really like what he said earlier. It's something that I've said many times before. Are you going to bet on yourself, right? Are you able to meet someone equal or higher value eventually, right? And someone's like, I'm not ready for that right now. No problem. No problem. But in the meantime, look at it like this. Instead of running away from no contact, say to yourself, if I contact them, what's the best thing that can come from this, and what's the worst thing that could come from this, right?
And that's how you have to view it. Sometimes to get what you want takes extreme measures. And this may feel like an extreme measure. It may even feel like a game, but it's not. It's a mature response when someone does not want you in their life. Because what do we call people who try to force their way into a house?
Are you mad? Because I am. I'm mad about inflation. I'm mad about how the government has spent our money.
Or try to make you do something you don't want to do. We certainly don't call them lovers. We want to get away from them. We call them dictators. And so be careful in that you don't come across as the one who is the dictator and saying, I don't care what you want, this is what I want, because that's not attractive either. Show your ex that you will not chase them down if they leave, and they won't have incentive to leave later on to try to make a point to you or just thinking that they can have free license to go see what it's like. Let your ex.
I don't know if it's a dictator thing or not, but acceptance is the key. If you accept a breakup, if you accept it, it actually surprises people on the other end because they're anticipating, especially if they've had breakups before where they didn't end smoothly, they're anticipating it's going to be a little bit messy. If you react, and it's like I've thought about this before, teaching people that are already in relationships, if you are in a breakup, this is how to handle it would be very good, right? It'd be a very good thing to learn. But on the flip side, he's going to go on and on about this, so I'm going to cut this a little short. But no contact is you saying, what's my alternative here? Being weak, pitiful, clingy, not accepting what someone else wants. Those don't sound like very good alternatives, right? The problems can't be fixed. They got to figure this out on their own. And they have to miss you, right? And no contact enables that to happen organically. Now, on the flip side, like he said in the beginning of the video, which I agree, it doesn't work all the time. If you're looking for certainty in any breakup, good luck. I mean, there are some people that have some X-Back kits and all these other things, and none of this stuff is certain. So if you're looking for that, but here's one thing that you can do. that you can certainly commit to. You can commit to no contact with certainty that this is the best thing for me to get better. I've often said, if you sprained your ankle, you'd have to be off your ankle for a couple weeks or 4 weeks. And the doctor would say, I'm not sure how long, but it might be 2 to 4 weeks to recover from this. Sometimes you got to stay off your heart after a breakup for a little while. I don't know if it's 1 month, 2 months. Sometimes you got to stop talking to that individual for maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Now someone says, oh, 30, I'm not going to get into that in this video if it's 30 days, 60 days. But I would say this, you're having bad interactions, you were rejected, they don't want to be with you anymore. The best choice is no contact. Stick to it, move forward, head high, dignity in place, stay strong. It doesn't just work to get them back, it works to get you back.